On the topic of sound reproduction and reality, a close analogy can be drawn between video reproduction and reality. So, there's been a lot of hype over the past few years for HDR monitors getting the high brightness up, and the highest production monitor is 4000 nits in terms of brightness, like the Dolby Pulsar or Sony HX 3110. But, the brightest consumer OLED monitors are only able to do like 1000 nits on small window sizes and only like 200 nits on 100% window size. But, think about the brightness of the sun. It's 1.6 billion nits, and there's no monitor that's ever going to be able to reproduce this in all likelihood. It's a similar story with sound. You have actual sounds and then you have sound reproduction. With stereo speakers, you can get somewhat close to the real sound experience, but with IEMs, it's like so far off from anything that can be conceived as real sound that it makes you question, as an audiophile especially, what's the point of even listening to this. I think IEMs are better for general consumers, if anything, because they're less concerned with what is real sound, and all these like details. But I think that nowadays people are starting to realize that IEMs are just not what they were hyped up to be. And for a while, wired earphones were essentially considered a joke. No one really cared about them. Then true wireless earphones came out, and that became a really booming industry. And now AirPods with Apple, of course, are dominating that industry, and you can have other Android competitors like Samsung, but at the end of the day, the market is true wireless earphones as the only reason to use earphones. And it's easy to get caught up in things like eardrum response and all of these things and think that somehow explains sound quality, when sound quality is really about perception. Like, you can say, yeah, frequency response this, frequency response that, but at the end of the day, a cable is distracting from a realistic sound experience, because you listen to like a musician and there's no annoying cable. And I have these headphones, there's an annoying cable, but it's not like I'm moving around with them, so it's not that big of a deal. And with the speakers, I'm not attached to any cable, so yeah, the cable you could say it's like necessary for quote unquote lossless sound reproduction, even though it like barely matters realistically speaking. For an IEM that's already so far detached from reality with a wire, why in the world would someone just go around wearing a wire? And you can see companies like Jabra discontinuing their IEM division because they realize there's no market for just true wireless IEMs. They don't do anything special. Apple has built a monopoly with their offerings, and really, who cares about the sound quality with IEMs at this point when the convenience matters so much more? And that's what Apple is offering with the AirPods Pro. And the competitors are not able to match this, with Apple just blocking off what can be done in their software on their devices. So This isn't to say I'm going to wear AirPods. This is more of a audiophiles issue where you get so caught up on like what is realistic sound and not, that you like just completely stop listening to IEMs because it's like, what's the point? But I feel like more people are realizing this, that for realism and stuff, literally just go outside and you will get the best experience possible. Same with video quality. The brightness of the grass or whatever when there's sun outside, the color accuracy. These things are at their most realistic points directly from the source, which is the real world, not, color graded and stuff like that. This is like, you can be obsessive over these things, but inherently, or at the end of the day, they're not real things. And you can have another discussion about what is real and what's not, but it's pretty easy to say that the fidelity of the actual event is higher in reality than it is recorded and reproduced through a device which you're not even sure is the exact same thing that the creator used. And for that reason, it's like IEMs, which are so far off from what is actually used to mix and master music, like speakers, are just completely pointless to use and are a complete joke. And this is why the IEM industry is dying. You can have like people like Truthier, barely making any money from margins with $20 IEMs and like think, oh my god, the IEM industry is booming. But compare their margins to Apple with the AirPods Pro, and Apple's making way more money than anyone like Truthier is making, like barely making any margin. Like, come on, a $20 IEM, like, you're not gonna make that much money off that. And yeah, so there's not really much opportunity seemingly in the IEM space right now, like especially with the passive IEMs. I think DSP is definitely the future, because as it is, analog sound reproduction with IEMs is a complete joke. There is no way it can be anywhere close to reproduced sound. But with really complicated DSP, I think better sound quality at the least is possible with IEMs. But right now IEMs are in a really bad state, and they're like pretty much dead at the moment.